Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money channel. Has the bleeding stopped, guys? I've got the total market cap up here on the daily right now. It's hovering around 787.9 billion, give or take. So we did lose more since yesterday morning, since I last reported on the market. So again, this is the total crypto market, including Bitcoin. You can see we are seeing a bit of a recovery now. Green candlestick, albeit not as long as the two previous red candlesticks that we saw. And, it's not looking good, unfortunately, because the volume is up near the same amount of volume that we saw over the last couple of days. So green volume similar, however, we are not seeing that same length, which means maybe it's just a reprieve before another move down. We have finally met this level of support from back in June of 2022, and I think this is why we're seeing this reprieve. I think what we're witnessing right now is that bounce back, finding support, coming back above support. But, I mean, depending on how this looks, if this changes, if we do end up seeing a lot more positive volume, again, this is the daily. The day has just started, so maybe it's too early to call. So, I mean, we're going to keep our eye on this. And we've got Bitcoin, the king crypto, up here taking a fairly big hit compared to some other cryptocurrencies, going below that level of support that we saw back in June of 2022. So below that level, trying to find support. As you guys can see down here, the volume level, very low for Bitcoin on the positive side. The negative bearish selling pressure has really taken over the king crypto right now. Bitcoin is trading at about 16,300. It was down as low as about 15,600 yesterday. But guys, you know what I noticed? XRP not faring terrible considering where we could have seen it going. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the past, XRP, whenever there was a downturn, XRP would usually get decimated the most. And, despite what has been happening in the crypto space, we are actually seeing XRP recover fairly well. Looking like a fairly healthy green candlestick to the upside and not a lot of buying pressure. So that is actually a good sign. The larger the candlestick with lower volume means that it's not taking a lot of buy orders to bring up that price. So that is positive. We're also seeing XRP not breaking through that level of support that we saw back in June of 2022. So faring quite well in comparison. The other thing I just wanted to mention was the XRP to BTC chart, and we can see that here as well. Still maintaining that same level of support up here that I've noted on this chart in the past. You guys can see that level there that XRP has formed. It did form it back at the end of October. And even despite this downturn, XRP is now hovering in and around that line. So an interesting observation here. I think it's good for XRP hodlers. Digital Asset News posted this. So this could also have an effect on the market moving forward. Many Bitcoin miners are now turning their rigs off. Bitcoin electrical costs have just been breached. For the second time in only 5 years, the electrical bill for the average miner is now greater than the income earned. So this happens from time to time when Bitcoin price goes below that profitable level to mine Bitcoin. It did happen here in 2020. And now, guys, it's happening again in 2022. Of course, this Bitcoin anomaly, price turning to the downside, is only because what we are seeing really unravel with FTX. Joe Consorti here posting this. 3 things you must know about this bloodbath. FTX and Alameda selling Bitcoin to cover debt obligations. So this is part of the reason. If, these guys are holding Bitcoin, and now if they are in debt, if they do need to cover some of those loans or costs, they are going to be selling off assets so that they are liquid, so that they can now pay creditors, pay whoever. Number 2, large FTX creditors are selling Bitcoin to cover their now worthless assets. So this is all a chain reaction, and this is why the market is slowing down. I have a feeling the reason XRP is holding up so well is because the people who are buying XRP are waiting for that lawsuit verdict and are not necessarily over-leveraged because they bought too much crypto, including their XRP position. I think that could be one special reason why we're not seeing XRP moving down as far as, some of these other cryptocurrencies that people may have been holding for longer. And number 3, macro is in the driver's seat. Rates higher for longer until the Fed is satisfied. So guys, a black swan event, it will sort itself out, but blood won't be in the streets for long. So if you are looking to buy, make sure you onboard your fiat soon, because these opportunities will come and go. Binance did finally release a statement. It doesn't look like they are purchasing FTX, is coming from Michael Branch. Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, also posted on his Twitter that, it's a sad day, unfortunately. We can't make it work. Here's the gist, though. The FTX insolvency is obviously shaking confidence in the crypto industry as a whole. Many are calling for more regulation. Those in DeFi are distancing themselves from the centralized crypto exchanges and pointing out that truly decentralized exchanges and lending/borrowing protocols make it impossible to mishandle custodial funds the way 3AC, Three Arrows Capital, Alameda, and FTX did. Here's a quote: "We should remember that financial crises are not unique to crypto. Traditional finance has had plenty of them as well. The humbling lesson here is that human nature is highly fallible and that we fall prey to speculation and greed all too easily. We should seek to control those risks, whether that's with regulation or smart contracts or both." Shimvam Thakral, Chief Executive Officer of India-based crypto exchange BITRUE, offered some insight via an email. He says, "The FTX collapse has wiped out over $180 billion from the crypto market as digital assets across the board are under tremendous selling pressure. The largest crypto, Bitcoin, was down over 9%, and trading at a lower support level of 16.4. As I just mentioned, with some initial signs of recovery. Ethereum is trading at 1170, which is a drop of about 10%. So just kind of going over the numbers here. But as per the latest update, Binance has backed out of the deal to acquire FTX, which is driving the investors away from riskier assets. So this decision here is also, inadvertently and ironically having an effect on the crypto market as well, because, investors are seeing Binance shy away from the deal. So what investors could be thinking now is, well, what else is risky? Am I, investing in something that I don't know enough about? Is my crypto at risk? Guys, this is why I always say, and I hope you used the code yesterday, because yesterday before midnight, PST, Pacific Standard Time, was the last time to buy a cold storage wallet from Ledger. This is why I say use a cold storage solution to store your crypto. Never keep it on an exchange for exactly this reason. And so you could have gotten 10% last night, but that deal is over now. I do still have an affiliate link in the description. You can use it if you want. You don't have to use it. Even if you missed out on the 10%, I strongly urge you guys, buy a cold storage solution for your crypto. It doesn't have to be a ledger. It can be anything really, but make sure your cryptocurrency is safe. This is imperative. Because frankly, we're dealing with scammers at some level and sociopaths, maybe I could say that. 11 days ago, this coming from Ryan Sean Adams, 11 days ago, we hosted a debate on crypto values with a billionaire who was secretly gambling away billions of dollars of depositor funds. He was lecturing us on crypto regulation while committing the biggest fraud in crypto history. How is this real life? So, as of a couple of weeks ago, we had Sam Bankman-Fried talking about this kind of thing, basically pulling the wool over people's eyes. Stéphane Hubert pointing this out. A Forbes article from back in the summer, Bankman-Fried warns some crypto exchanges are already secretly insolvent. A foreshadowing of such? Toying with us? I don't know. Maybe both. David Schwartz even weighing in on this. Here is Sam Bankman-Fried explicitly saying that FTX does not do precisely the thing it now seems that FTX did, and explains a precise understanding of why it's important to customers that exchanges not do the very thing it now seems that he did, and how they can and did go wrong.
Last thing that I'll say is if you look at what precipitated some of the 2008 financial crisis, you saw a number of bilateral, bespoke, non-reported transactions happening between financial counterparties, which then got repackaged and re-leveraged again and again and again, such that no one knew how much risk was in that system until it all fell apart. If you compare that to what happens on FTX or other major cryptocurrency venues today, there's complete transparency about the full open interest. There's complete transparency about the positions that are held. There's a robust, consistent risk framework applied, and we're excited to work with the CFTC on our U.S. licensed and regulated venue to bring a lot of this.
Can you believe the audacity? We've also got another report here from CNBC, this coming from Darren Moore. Just tweeted this out, raised $32 billion. They are expecting their stakes in FTX to be worthless. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about Tom Brady and how he and his wife invested a lot of money. I think it was $650 million in FTX. Well, here is a list. This reporter talks about some of the investors that have also lost out on their FTX investment. And these are big companies, okay?
As it's planned, but some other high-profile investors will likely be wiped out in this deal. The crypto exchange last raised money at a $32 billion valuation from some of the biggest names in venture capital. You had SoftBank, Sequoia, Thoma Bravo, Tiger Global, among others. I've been on the phone with some of the equity investors in FTX who told me they're expecting their stakes in FTX to be worthless. They're planning to write this off as a loss, and I'm told Binance will likely be buying FTX for pennies on the dollar. The deal hasn't closed yet, and it could run into some issues with global regulators, or CFIUS, here in the U.S. And it's unclear what happens to FTX's celebrity endorsements, too. It bought the naming rights to FTX Arena in Miami. It also courted brand ambassadors like Steph Curry, Shaq, Naomi Osaka, Tom Brady, and Giselle were ambassadors as well as investors.
So, guys, no one is safe. Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin O'Leary, as I mentioned yesterday, Tom Brady and his wife, Stephen Curry, just to name a few. And, guys, check out some of these companies here. These are some big, some heavy hitters. I was going to show you guys the logos, but they're also written up here. BlackRock, Temasek, SoftBank, Sequoia. BlackRock. Even BlackRock wasn't safe from the FTX debacle. Kind of overshadowed the midterm election results. Perry and Boring here. Saying, while most crypto watchers try to make sense of the FTX Binance deal, I thought I'd try to make sense of last night's midterm elections and what the results mean for Bitcoin and crypto. So here we have the results. We're still waiting for some of the results to come in. The Democrats have won the House, but we're still waiting for the U.S. Senate. Governor's race still tallying those results. Results are still coming in, she says, but I think it's fair to say the Dems defied expectations. Control of Congress still hangs in the balance. Republicans are likely to flip the House, but the red wave some expected didn't happen, with Republicans likely taking back the House. Patrick McHenry will wield the gavel in the House Financial Services Committee. He's been supportive of the digital assets industry to date and will be a key player in crypto policy next Congress. So Patrick McHenry on our side, he's good for crypto. The Senate is still a toss-up at this point, but let's assume we have a split Congress. That means legislating will be more difficult, and if anything is going to get done, it's going to have to be bipartisan. If there were ever a bipartisan issue, it's fixing the economy and putting in policies that expand opportunity. This is an issue both sides of the aisle can work on, and I don't disagree. This bodes well for crypto since our issues aren't partisan and serve as a great opportunity for members to come together to enact change. There isn't much Americans agree on, but they do agree that crypto is key to our economic future. So I'm hoping that, this is going to keep moving forward in a positive direction despite this changeover. This is an exciting time for digital assets in the digital asset industry, and the Digital Chamber of Commerce is eager to help educate those newly elected members to work across the aisle to help our industry flourish. We are hosting a Twitter Spaces tomorrow at 5 p.m., so just plugging that Twitter Spaces down here. Okay, so that has or will affect cryptocurrency moving forward. Let's also talk about some comments here that Elizabeth Warren made. The collapse of one of the largest crypto platforms shows how much the industry appears to be smoke and mirrors. We need more aggressive enforcement, and I'm going to keep pushing the SEC to enforce the law to protect consumers and financial stability. Well, maybe that's not the best way to go about it. Brian Armstrong responding here. FTX was an offshore exchange not regulated by the SEC. The problem is that the SEC failed to create regulatory clarity here in the US. So many American investors and 95% of trading activity went offshore. Punishing US companies for this makes no sense. And Brad Garlinghouse also responding to this as well. Senator Warren, Brian is right. To protect consumers, we need regulatory guidance for companies that ensures trust and transparency. There's a reason why most crypto trading is offshore. Companies have zero guidance on how to comply here in the US. Compare that with Singapore, which has a licensed framework, token taxonomy laid out, and much more. They can appropriately regulate crypto because they've done the work to define what good looks like and know all tokens aren't securities, despite what Chair Gensler insists. So Brad Garlinghouse putting in his 2 cents as well. This coming as Gary Gensler has urged policymakers to see FTX failure as part of a broader pattern, even though FTX was in fact technically located offshores. Gary Gensler, chairman of the SEC, said that Tuesday's sudden FTX collapse is part of a wider trend in digital assets. And here's what he said, okay? What we've seen in the last 2 days, if I can sort of step back from it a bit, is really part of a pattern that what we have seen over the last 6 or 8 months. Gensler said during a conference hosted by Healthy Markets Association, a policy nonprofit. Investors get hurt when we don't rely upon the time-tested public policy guardrails. I would not take the last 2 days as separate from what's happened in the last 8 months. the SEC chair continued, pointing to a particular leverage as well as lack of disclosure, opacity. We've seen the use of other people's money and trading ahead. So, I mean, in a way, he's not wrong, but I think he's trying to redirect the focus, because at the end of the day, how Gary Gensler has been handling, cryptocurrency in general, clearly also isn't the right way to be going about things. The investing public is hoping for a better future, and they're not having it here, Gensler added. The recent market turmoil is linked to the seeming failure of FTX, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, and one that has emphasized putting its own vision forward for policymaking in Washington, D.C. So that was Gary's comment here. Funny, actually, considering here's another clip of Sam Bankman-Fried talking about Gary Gensler and the SEC.
3 years ago, it was an incredibly exciting growing space, and it was also extremely messy. And frankly, there were frauds. There were a fair number of them in the crypto industry. And there's also just a lot of market activity that would not have been allowed on a regulated platform. Now, I do think that things have been cleaned up by the industry to some extent over the last few years. I'd like to think we played a role in that. I'd like to think that others, including Coinbase, have played a role in that in terms of setting a different standard for the industry. But, I still think that there are completely reasonable steps to be taken here by regulators to try to have some boundaries on, I think like one example is market manipulation. And I think one thing that I would expect the SEC to be looking at now, and I wouldn't be shocked to see some movement on, is around coming up with some sort of guidelines for crypto exchanges. Right now, they live in the money service business regime, which is an appropriate regime for part of the activity. But, I would expect to see, anti-market manipulation, anti-wash trading regulations and policies start to come out.
Sounding pretty confident for a guy that was committing fraud under our noses, doesn't it? So I wanted to thank Real XRP Boy and Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed for posting that. I also got another one here, guys. Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unboxed uncovering something else. FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried is and was involved in money laundering, theft, fraud, and violations of federal and state laws. Whoa! Filed with the SEC on September the 10th, 2021, victim claims the SEC was not listening to his complaints about Sam Bankman-Fried at the time. So here is a complaint, okay? Horrible experience. I don't think I'm going to go over the full thing, but I'm going to give you guys the gist of it, okay? He says, especially with a $100 million safe token cover protocol, investor theft, where Sam Bankman-Fried was an advisor. As I stated, I lost hundreds of thousands in safe token profits because of a rug pull theft. I was able to settle for 1 Bitcoin, but what really bothers me is that the only way Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX would settle is if they controlled the settlement narrative wherein the FTX lawyer had me sign an employment contract for 30 days instead of a settlement NDA, paid me 1 Bitcoin, then never hired me to do anything within the 30 days. All manipulation, the kind of manipulation found here. And then he posts a URL. So it sounds as though Sam Bankman-Fried was involved in shady activity. The behavior obviously speaks for itself. I guess we don't really know how deep it goes. Well, now we're learning more. FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried is and was involved in money laundering, theft, fraud, and violations of federal and state laws. As far as the cover protocol $100 million theft goes, they never listed their real names on any of the projects. I asked Sam and his lawyer Dan to give me the cover protocol team contact information, which he has, but they refused. Every crypto company should be mandated by the SEC to list their real names and contact information so people like me can take them to court. So again, guys, I'm not going to read this full thing, but I will link it in the description if you guys want to read the full thing. But another instance here where Sam Bankman-Fried was accused of fraud, violations of federal and state laws, theft, and money laundering. So how could he have been so confident calling Gensler and regulators out while, stating, yeah, the crypto industry does need to be regulated. It is rife with fraud and abuse. Things that make you go, Ben Armstrong here posting this, okay? SBF had the SEC bought off. Maybe Gary Gensler will resign. And these are just some screen grabs demonstrating that the SEC actually had meetings with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, Chief Executive Officer. And actually, if I go back to this Wheezy at Nerd Nation Unbox tweet here, RippleEye at _XRPizza also posted this. So some meetings from back in March of this year, meeting with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried at 4 p.m. with the SEC. So the SEC had meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried, Yet Gary Gensler now going on the record saying, yeah, because of this collapse, because we need to regulate crypto markets. Something doesn't really seem to be adding up here, does it? Well, guys, I think more is going to come down the pipe sooner rather than later. Ben Armstrong at BitBoy_crypto posted this. Okay, this email that was forwarded to me was sent on behalf of one of the many projects that Sam Bankman-Fried destroyed. I sent this to CZ Binance and Binance through a contact that I have there. We are barely tugging at the thread here, but you will see projects are angry and will want to talk. So this is apparently another project, another organization that Sam Bankman-Fried destroyed. Those are BitBoy's words here. So here is the story. Okay, it starts off, Dear Dan, I believe you just had a crash course with karma. Don't deceive CZ that you know, FTX, Alameda, and the whole SBF criminal cartel shell companies are facing a huge number of class action lawsuits into the billions. Your company might be buying time to cover up a fraudulent crypto being traded on your exchange, but did you seriously not think screwing a tech company with technology years ahead of your teams wouldn't backfire? We also thank you and your team for the perfect evidence. It was quite fascinating to discover your modus operandi. The videos will play really well. Continues over here. After 6 months of negotiations where we recruited litigation funders, assembled your previous victims, we have been working with a number of parties to expose your artificial market manipulation and fraudulent financials. How are you going to continue to deceive now? We have been buying coins in other victim projects such as Casper, ICP, Aptos, etc. to instigate the class action litigation, subpoena the founders, and pierce your NDAs. At least Caroline tried to buy us off. But your arrogance and hubris got in your way. By trying to pay us off with your counterfeited new coin, you exposed the systemic use of counterfeit digital assets on the SBF exchanges, projects, and the financials used to deceive creditors, fabricating evidence, rearranging corporate shells with backdated arrangements to quarantine losses, and of course, your famous creation of a patsy to take the fall for you isn't going to work this time. You can't get away with it as easily as you did with your online gambling frauds. This is so public that even Mossard's money can't bail you out this time without too much risk of exposure. So Dan, how are you going to justify the destruction of the numerous platforms you guys have destroyed? I believe Dan is Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyer, so it was addressed to him. How are you going to pay back the $2 million new coin Alameda stole from us? Are you going to wait until a court orders you to buy it on the market? Finally here, it says, how are you going to justify the intentional sabotage of your competitors or to vaporware, Solana, and even worse, the market trap you've developed under the pretext of market making? This started with FTX, although it won't end at FTX. We note Liquid has risen the ranks immediately after Sam Bankman-Fried ended up owing the exchanges after his predatory loan swindle. Miraculous what your market makers can do. You can't quarantine this to FTX. Liquid's parabolic rise in the exchange rankings through artificial trading is too obvious. We now see how your monumentally deep stupidity and hubris has served SBF. How much more pain are you going to inflict on other projects and traders? So more companies may come out of the woodwork as per Ben Armstrong. It's looking like this is not an isolated incident. Also, what the heck is going on here with these SEC meetings if in fact Gary Gensler is now stating that the FTX collapse is part of a pattern? Shouldn't he have known and acted on this over a year ago? All things to consider, guys. I'm actually quite happy though. I mean, I'm happy that XRP is holding up. I mean, some cryptocurrencies can't really say the same. XRP is down as of today. It's down only 28.9%. Compare that to coins like Solana, ouch, 59%. I think ultimately though, guys, this is just a blip in the narrative, a great opportunity to cost average down, buy more crypto, maybe get invested in other cryptocurrencies that solve problems. That's just my opinion. Thank you, Sam Bankman-Fried, for this opportunity. But I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.